Derek Coleman was a professional football player and became the first deaf offensive player in the history of the NFL. He played football for all of his life and was recruited to play in college at UCLA, where he then eventually went into the NFL after signing with the Minnesota Vikings. He played for many different teams as well, like the Seattle Seahawks, Atlanta Falcons, and Arizona Cardinals. Now, his work as a player has ended, but since 2023, he has found a job that includes both of his passions, football and helping others. This is being an assistant to player engagement for the Green Bay Packers, guiding players to get successful and stay successful. When he was 2, his parents started noticing he was behind in speech and language. They got him tested with an audiogram, and the results came back looking similar to this, showing that there was severe hearing loss in his left ear, which eventually became profound in both ears. This disorder, untreated, is basically living in complete silence. Even the loudest noises just sound like buzzing in the ears. They diagnosed him with bilateral hearing loss, in other words, a major hearing loss that occurs in both ears as opposed to unilateral, which is significant hearing loss in one ear. They also discovered that this occurred due to a recessive genetic trait. Therefore, he was born with this disorder, so it is considered congenital. They also classified his hearing loss to be sensorineural as opposed to conductive because it developed with time and age. Once he lost hearing in both ears, they immediately got him hearing aids to help amplify sounds. He hated having them. He would refuse to wear them in his early ages and was constantly taking them out. And with or without the hearing aids in, he made it a habit to rely mainly on lip reading, as he admits that this is still his go-to strategy for comprehending speech to this day. His mother explains in recent interviews that he was also bullied in elementary school for having hearing aids, which made school not the most enjoyable at first, until he found a spark in being an athlete. After trying t-ball and not liking it, he was inspired by his sister, who became a cheerleader for the Little League football team, to try and be one of those she was cheering for. His journey in football wasn't always the smoothest, because lots of coaches he had growing up would not work closely with him or believe in him due to the hearing loss. But this did not stop Coleman from motivation and success. Despite having to do a little extra than other players, like for example, having to lift his helmet up after each play to look closely at the quarterback's lips so that he knows what play they are running next, he became a wanted man for college teams quickly. During his college career, he says that he was getting calls from a different NFL team every day, and it seemed to him he was for sure going to be picked in the NFL draft. Unfortunately, that did not happen, but some time went by and Minnesota privately reached out and offered him a spot, but he wasn't there long before they cut him from the team. This was another major setback in his confidence, but his mother never let him give up. He continued to train back home when the team that really broke out his career reached out. This was the Seattle Seahawks, and they saw more in him than just his disorder. He was on this team for 3 years and won the 48th Super Bowl with them, adding another title to his name as the first deaf player ever to win a Super Bowl. While succeeding in the NFL, it wasn't much of a known fact that Derek Coleman, the fullback from the Seahawks, was deaf, until he participated in a commercial for Duracell batteries. This commercial became one of the biggest talks and was super inspiring for all of those with disabilities and anyone who has ever been told that they can't do something. In this, he discusses his hardships and how he was undermined, but how now he plays for the loudest fans in the NFL and only hears them, not the negativity. He loved how this commercial helped others, so now, while working for Green Bay, he also does lots of public speaking at schools to lift students up and let them know anything is possible. Derek Coleman is one of the many role models that proved and is still proving to this day that those with disabilities and disorders can do everything that those without can do.